He was probably the strongest, if not the strongest wrestler that I've ever seen. And especially when you combine that with a great wrestling talent and knowledge of holds and counter holds, this guy was really a superstar. But on a fateful night in November 1985, after two big slugs behind the back, behind his head, 6 or 7 body slams later, which no body can take, he walked out of that ring holding his back, and he heard it on his show. He said, I heard his back. I was the better man that night. Now, if you want to believe what he said, you go right ahead and believe what he said. But I've said all I can say about it is that, and here's another thing. You Google anywhere, YouTube, Vimeo, or any other search engine, and watch that match and see the comments below. 99.9% of the fans back Big Ron Shaw. And they know what happened. And some people, that small percentage, they say, well, Ron Shaw stepped in the ring. You can see he's telling Dusty Feldbomber to finish. I remember exactly when I said to Dusty Feldbomber, just to prove you wrong and some of the other fans wrong, is I said, hey, Dusty, it looks like a good sellout tonight. That's what I said. I wasn't telling him any finish because you know what? I had in my mind what I was going to do that night. Because when I heard some type of a rumor going on in that dressing room, I did what I was going to do, the right thing. Now, I hope that answers your question, Monty, Mr. Wise Guy.
Well, let me try it another way. Let me try it this way. Hello, Ron. Oh, no. Did David Sammartino really hurt you?
It's the kid across the pond.
Or not? Or did you give it up, Ron?
You punk. You punk.
I'm a punk.
Let me tell you something. It wouldn't take me no more than 2.5 hours to fly down there and slap your face all over that damn studio. You understand it? I'm done. I'm done.
Come on, man.
Pharaoh,
Come on, Ron.
man. You were the man.
Bye, Ron.
This should be the Pharaoh and Monte show.
Bye,
and
Ron.
Let me tell you something, Monte. If I ever do a convention down in New York City, I hope you're there. Over and out.
Great. Good interview, buddy. Good choice. That guy was a gentleman.
People's names?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, James Romero, Wrestling Shoot Interviews. And I said after that, I thought it would be the last one I would do. But the Monte and the Pharaoh guy called me and said, Ron, hey, we'd like to have you on the show. I said, Monte, I said, I don't think I'm up for doing these shows anymore. I said, the guy was a little guy in this business, you know what I mean? And, he was nice enough to build me up just like you did, superstar. I never considered myself a superstar, but thank you anyway. And, I said, all right, let me think about it. So I called him up a couple of weeks later, and, I wanted to start feeling people out because, the conversation has been pretty much the same thing over and over again. And, he says, well, here's what I want to talk about. He wanted to talk about things that I didn't want to even touch. The Ring Boy scandal, this and that, and plus the big upset of professional wrestling, that I'm known for today. And he was being very persistent. I thought a little bit arrogant about it. And I said, you know what? I said, I don't need this money, and I hung up on him. Well, it was about 3-4 days later, his partner, the Pharaoh, called up, and he said, Ron, look, he goes, we worked everything out, we want you on the show. I said, okay, fine. But, it stuck in the back of my mind. And, I said, I have a feeling that this guy's going to go where he wants to go. And that's pretty much it. Well, that's how the show pretty much started off. I said, I probably was a little bit more arrogant at the start of the show. And I just wanted to speak my piece and just see where it was going to go. But he was being disrespectful to me, John. And this was something that was new to me because everybody's really treated me really nice on their shows. I've been on a lot of podcasts. This is now my 16th show since I started my website in 2015. And it was not even 5 minutes into the show that he was saying, you have to show me respect on my show. And the Pharaoh had to jump in and say, hey, it's our show. To give you an idea of, the disrespect that not he only showed me, he was showing his partner on the show, And let me tell you something. He has an ego. He's had wrestlers, guests on his show pop him in the teeth on the show. And I don't know why that's happening that way. Okay. You know, this guy probably goes around to these wrestling conventions, John, in his Jimmy Durante hat and his Ray Charles sunglasses, just looking to get noticed. Okay. But if you take that hat off of this guy and those sunglasses off of this guy, he's just a punk. Okay. He's just a punk. And I don't respect the guy, and I don't care if he respects me or not. I personally don't care. But that's what I was going through. But, you know, when you invited me on your show, I went on the internet and I said, wow. I said, man, you got a lot of big names on that show. And I said, I need to be a part of it for that hour or whatever it's going to be and so forth. But, you know, just get back to one more time, because I don't want to elaborate on this too much. But let me tell you something. He said, never again will I have Ron Shaw on my show. He just doesn't want to be in the same building with Ron Shaw. He doesn't want to invite me to his show live in the studio. And that's perfectly fine. But let me tell you something, John. If I ever came out of retirement, which I'm not, I'd love to be in the ring with this guy. I'd love to be in the ring with this guy. See if he would get smart with me in the ring.
Interesting fellow. I don't know him, but interesting fellow.
For
sure.
Yep.
Weird way to conduct interviews with famous wrestlers from the past. It's just a weird way to go about it. But hey, I mean, whatever works for him, I guess, or doesn't work for him. Whatever.
Hey everyone, Chris Centennial, Sports Talk 101. Today I'm at the Country Club of Big Ron Shaw, and the question we're asking today is, should Monte apologize to Ron? So what's your thought? Should Monte from the Monte and Pharaoh show apologize to Big Ron Shaw?
Absolutely. I don't believe that Monte should have said what he said, and I definitely believe he should apologize to Ron Shaw for what he had said.
Sir, what do you think? Should Monte apologize to Ron Shaw?
Monte apologized to Shaw? Hell yeah! He's a champion. Hall of Famer, of course.
Sir, do you have an opinion? Should he apologize?
Most definitely. When you have a Hall of Famer and you want to insult him, that's a bunch of bull crap. He should be apologizing to him.
Thank you. Sir, do you have an opinion on Ron Shaw? Should Monte apologize to him?
You know, I don't even like Ron Shaw.
Hey, who the hell are you?
You talk to me like
your own business, man. You're all drunk, you?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here. Monte, the people have spoken. Step up to the plate and deliver me the apology that I so rightfully deserve. I told you, you're a punk. And I'm going to tell you, our pants are going to cross again.
And that's actually 63 days later. And unless I'm missing something, you have received what we say in Italian is gazzangul, right? Which is Italian for nothing. It's really not nothing. It's something a little bit different, but basically close enough. And now I do have a statement from your attorney, who at the present desires to remain anonymous. But with your permission, I'd like to read this real quick.
Absolutely, you can go right ahead, because I did get a phone call from their office today, and they told me that he wouldn't be able to appear on the show. But yes, you go right ahead.
Perfect. So it's from their law office, and it's regarding Shaw versus Monte Jr. Regarding the above, Mr. Shaw has, for the moment, decided not to pursue legal action against Mr. Monte or the Monte and the Pharaoh television show. Mr. Shaw certainly has valid legal grounds to pursue a civil lawsuit on the grounds of libel and slander, and in my legal opinion, said lawsuit is quite meritorious and would certainly result in a financial windfall for Mr. Shaw. However, Mr. Shaw is a most compassionate man and does not want the Monte family to endure financial hardships caused solely by the inane comments by Mike Monte. Additionally, court appearances would interfere with Mr. Shaw's more important commitments of swimming and golf at his country club. Mr. Shaw, however, does expect a full apology. The deadline for the aforementioned apology will be extended to May 11th at the behest of Mr. Shaw. So I know that you're not a man to be messed with or disrespected. You were on social media last week and mentioned that you have a huge announcement. Do you want to share that now?
Yes, I do. And let me tell you something, you guys. You know, I'm happy, of course, to be back on your show for a third time, but I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't happen. But we're here today. And, you know, when you guys asked me, when I was talking about having a big announcement that I wanted to make, you said, would I be stepping back in the ring? Well, it all depends. So here's what pretty much I have to say. I want to challenge Michael Monte Jr. to step into the ring with me.
Oh,
okay?
crap.
Step into the ring
wow.
with me.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, because obviously he doesn't want to apologize to me. But let me tell you something. Here's the benefits of it if he steps into the ring with me. Okay, I had talked to a promoter already down the road who was putting on a huge pay-per-view event later this year, and he would be happy to add our match onto there. Now I don't know nothing about Michael Monte. Does he know what martial arts? Is he a street fighter? Does he even wrestle? I wrestle too. But let me tell you something. Here's what's in it for Michael Monte, not to only get paid, but if he beats me, he could get his hand raised, and for the first time in his life, he could become a somebody, or he could walk out of the ring a crippled. It's a chance I've got to take. It's a chance he's got to take, and that's what I wanted to do. He doesn't want to return my phone calls. I called him for months after that
Ron,
show. What?
Ron, I'm sorry to cut you off, Benny.
Yeah.
I apparently we need to update the IT pay or whoever our security guy is, because this is supposed to be a closed network, and I'm actually getting an outside call.
We
don't have a call-in number. I don't know how this person infiltrated our network. Hello, caller, you there?
Hello?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
No, could that be?
Who's this?
Sounds like Monty.
This is me, one half of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Oh,
Michael L. Monte
How did you do that?
You got to be kidding me.
What
the internet. Give
Monty,
me 1 second, Ron.
Monty.
Ron, I'll address you in 1 second. Give me 1 second, Ron. Okay? First of all, Dan and Betty,
I don't believe
do
it.
some of the best interviews. Shut up, Ron. You guys do some of the best interviews around. I try to promote you guys all the time.
You
But the one
absolutely
thing
do.
you
Gotta
guys
give you
do,
credit.
well, the one thing you guys do best is putting lipstick on a pig. So, Ron, when we're talking about lipstick on a pig, I'm going to point the finger at you. So let's start here.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I don't know what your problem is, okay? You came on the show, some questions. I already told you, Pharaoh is not a softball show. You do softball shows like you did a couple of weeks ago with this fat guy where he just asked you questions about who you wrestled or whatever else. That's not what we do. Man, I grew up on you, Ron. I respected you, and I respected you to be man enough to at least answer questions and not rehash the same dribble you do every time you're in an interview. And now you just continually harass me, harass the show, putting out videos. Do you know how large our fan base is? And every single one of them hate your... And Ron, I'm not going to wrestle you. I'm not stupid, okay? You are an icon in the sport. Also a clown. I don't play with clowns.
Okay. All right, very interesting. First of all, Monty, I don't know why you're calling into the show, because this is a classy show. You should be back there in Long Island doing what you do. Okay? Let me just explain something to you. I am not going to insult you. Okay, you know, a long time ago, you told me before we even did our interview, we talked, and you know, it was good talk and everything. You told me how much you love your listeners and that you would do anything that you can for them, you know, within reason. And you know, I admire you for that, Monty. But let me tell you something. You know, I had to go on these shows every single time. Let me finish. I let you speak, Monty. Let me speak. Okay? I had to go on these shows after seeing one comment after another, putting me down on your shows, on the videos that I had sent in to you, and there was nobody who was complimenting me. I only got compliments from the other shows. Not because you know why? They're classy people. The people you have on your show are trash. Okay? They're uneducated. Did any of them ever get beyond 5th grade? I don't think they did. Okay? I have talked on this Sports Talk 101 with Chris Centennial about a month ago, and I had to talk about 4 or 5 of those lowlifes that from your show. They don't want to talk about my wrestling career. They want to talk about my gold necklace or my tan. One fat lady calls in Ron Shaw will never be in the WWE. Well, she'll never have a husband or a boyfriend because she's 500 pounds. That's probably what the case is. But you know something, Mike? I watched your show last Thursday,
And I only watched it because of your special guest, who I'm a fan of, and you know who I'm talking about, okay? And you put on 2 of my videos. Now, what disturbed me was that right after that, you started mocking me. And what I did is I went onto your live chat, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I said, you know what? It's easy for you guys to belittle me from 1,200 miles away, but how about face-to-face? And then people started chatting, and they started chatting. They said, Big Ron Shaw's in the house. And then I get this one live chat comment from this Mitch Seinfeld. Ron Shaw is a star in his own mind. Ron Shaw is a superstar, and you even said it, Monte, on your show. So, Mitch Seinfeld, go get an education somewhere. But here's my problem, to give you an idea of what low-class people you have. R.J. Hudson. Why give this nobody a platform? He did nothing in the business. Well, let me tell R.J. the Fat Pig Hudson one thing. I am in the Hall of Fame, IWF Hall of Fame. I've got the most upsets in professional wrestling. I got the biggest upset in professional wrestling, and I am one of the most sought after guests on every show. I've got shows every single week. I've even turned down shows. But this big fat slob, and I'm surprised that he was even up 9 o'clock watching your show, because he's got to get up in the morning, work for the city, and clean the piss and the feces off the sidewalks from all the deadbeats that live on there. Or maybe he lives on there, the homeless. But let me tell you something, that big fat slob, Hudson, you look at his little picture there, okay? And he's putting me down. Let me tell you something else about him. I'll bet you when he gets together at Thanksgiving and Christmas with his family, they stick him in another room because they don't want to spoil their appetite looking at that big fat slob.
Guys.
Monte, in 6 short days, I'll be on the Dan and Benny in the Ring show to announce some huge news that's going to shock a lot of people, maybe including you. So what you need to do is get to your doctor and get the wax cleaned out of your ears. And then get the wax cleaned out between your ears, because you're going to want to hear and understand exactly what I got to say. And Pharaoh, I suggest you talk some sense into your pal to make sure I get the apology that I deserve.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Pro wrestling superstar, Ron Shaw.
Well, Monte, let me tell you something. Let's cut the bullshit out right now. All of a sudden you're being nice to me. For the last year, so when I was on your show in March of last year, all you did was belittle me for a year, okay? You did everything in your power. Now, you like videos. By the way, Pharaoh, it's nice to see you. You're looking great, and it's nice to be on your show again. Now, the one video that you've played a lot of, Monte, I noticed, is my country club video. It seems like you like a guy to stand up to me and say, I don't like Ron Shaw. Let me tell you something. All the members love Ron Shaw. Now I'm going to have to say something here, because your heads are going to swell, and it's in a good way. What I've had to deal with for over a year now is that you guys, I underestimated you guys. I really underestimated you guys, okay? It seems like you've got your hands in everything, including my business of what I do, okay? You bring out the top stars and put them on your show, which nobody else can do but you. And I can understand why you guys are number 1 in the world, maybe, okay? Certainly in this country. And I'm going to give you a pat on the back for that, okay? Now, let me explain something to you about this guy and why he says he doesn't like Ron Shaw. Every time I come in, and I call him a drunk, an old drunk. Every time I come in from playing 18 holes, I come in, I go through the bar, and he's over there chugging down one beer after another, like a sinkhole swallowing up a neighborhood, okay? And on top of it yet, he sues me. He goes to sue me. And who does he have representing him? Your lawyer, Monte. Stubby Tortello. Okay?
Chubby.
All right. Have it your way.
Okay.
Now, one thing is that I had gotten permission from the board of directors at the country club to come on air with Sports Talk 101. And everybody was fair game. He didn't have to talk to me. He didn't have to say anything. Okay? But he did. They did drop the case because of that.
They did drop the case. And, I'm a nice guy. Let me tell you something. 3 days later, I saw him there. I had an ice-cold case of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer that I gave to that guy. And I'm sure he drank it right away before it got warm. All right? Now, let me get to this other Sports Talk 101 guy. What are you laughing about?
It was funny. Listen,
Ron, that was
I got to
funny.
give you
I'm
credit.
sorry.
It's pretty funny.
That was funny. I think it's funny when somebody threatens you to get sued.
No, that's
okay?
not funny. Not that
Unfortunately,
much,
I know
sir.
what I'm doing.
That's not funny.
I know what I'm
Not
doing.
at all.
Now, Sports Talk 101 guy, this guy Chris Centennial. Now, kudos to you. I don't know how you ever got your lawyer to get hooked up with this guy. Okay? I don't know how you did it, but you did it. Great. Sports Talk 101 guy, Chris Centennial, comes to my house to do a 20-minute interview. One of the things was I was getting paid. This was going to go back to Pittsburgh and be shown in the Pittsburgh area, Ohio, and Virginia, and I was being paid for it.
Okay.
After this show was over, a day and a half later, I get a call from the producer. And she says, Ron, we can't use this show. I said, well, why not? It's already on YouTube with Monte and the Pharaoh's logo on there.
How you doing?
And Monte has a huge paragraph of feel sorry for me, people. Please feel sorry for me. And in the meantime, you're putting me down. Well, kudos to you, okay? Now, I suspected something about this guy when he came into my house, okay? He sat in that chair, was squirming all the time, and he was farting the whole time while he was in there, okay? And I even had to call him on it. I said, what do you got to do, brother, a number 2 or something? But, I'm a gentleman, and I went on and I did what I did. I'm a professional. I went on and I did the interview. Now, I'm going to show you guys something which is going to shock you a little bit. Can you see this?
Yes.
Sports Talk 101 sent me a letter 5 weeks ago. This Chris Centennial admitted that he sent that tape to you. Okay? Kudos to you again. Right? So, what happens is that they let the guy go. Okay, he'll never work in sports, television, whatever the hell it was. And let me tell you something. If I ever see this skinny neck, chicken-looking guy, I'll wrap a 9-iron around his neck. It's as simple as that. Now, one other thing. I'm on Dan and Benny's show, In the Ring. 2 years these guys have been on the air, doing great success. In fact, Mr. Benny Scala himself called me up during the week and says, Ron, he goes, we were number 8 in Ireland last week because of you. Me, being on his show. And I said, well, what did you expect? Okay, eight's not bad, okay? And what I couldn't figure out is, how the hell, Monte, are you sneaking in on my show? Spoiling my interview, okay? Spoiling my interview. There's something funny going on there because you had them on the following week. Now, Dan and Benny, I've certainly got some questions for you, and you better have some answers for me. But guys, congratulations on doing what you do. And Monte, I'm not going to yell. No matter what you say tonight, you don't have to apologize to me tonight because you know what? I'll expect it when it comes out of your mouth, so I won't get excited. And by the way, the only reason I'm here is because your people paid me to be here.
That's true. And also, Jimmy, I shared this with you. My wife was highly disappointed with the past show with you, Ron, and she felt that she actually defended you, Ron, which is no surprise. She defends everybody against me, but in this particular case, and she felt that if I was a true wrestling fan, that I should have treated you better. And after thinking about it, I want to start this interview differently, Ron, because maybe I should have done this the first go-around. So I'm going to ask you this question, and we'll see how this goes. Do you think David Sammartino was failing as a wrestler because of the pressure of being the son of Bruno Sammartino, which I could imagine would be a huge weight.
Huge.
And that Big Ron Shaw, on the particular day in Philadelphia, decided to facilitate Mr. Sammartino in getting out of his contract with the WWE.
David Sammartino, and I told you this before, is a tremendous athlete, okay? I would have loved to have a body like that guy, okay? He was big, he was strong and everything. He could have continued on in the business in professional wrestling because he was who he was. He wasn't this skinny little guy or something like that. He held his own. He held his own, what I feel. And I've seen him work a lot of great matches, tremendous matches. And he was a star. He was a superstar. And I've said it, he's a superstar. Whatever happened, happened. I don't know what was going through the guy's head, number one, okay, prior to our match. Maybe he just felt that maybe he's in his father's shadow and he just didn't like that. I don't know. You know, you're trying to pick something that I really couldn't tell you.
Ron, do you think that Bruno could have possibly been putting too much pressure on David, or was Bruno still concerned about Bruno's spot on the card?
No. Bruno wasn't concerned about himself. I mean, he knew he was doing his last matches. You know, he had a lot of injuries. You know, whatever those 30 years were that he was. You know, he didn't want to do this anymore. You know,
how about putting pressure on
whenever
David?
him.
Was there anything to that?
What's that?
How about putting pressure on David? Anything
No, I don't think he was putting pressure on David. Okay. I don't think he was. You know. I mean, you go out there, he knew he was going to do this. He's in the business, and all he could do is help him, like a good father would. To any son.
Ron, I want to go back to that day, though, when David comes into the locker room before you guys are going out for your match. Is there a discussion of David saying he wants to just call it a day and leave the Federation, and I need your help to make this happen?
Well, number one, there was no conversation. Number two, why would he need my opinion on how he wants to leave? He could have got up and left any time. Okay? What made him mad or whatever however the story is, because I've heard numerous stories. Okay? And yeah, I'm a big part of this. Okay? But let's look at me real quick for a second. After I had my hand raised after that match, I came back in February of 1986, and he booked me up against George Skolin, who I've never, ever heard of before. Okay? The guy blew up when he stepped between the ropes. Okay? He was out of breath all the time. And after that, I never ever even seen him again. Now, if somebody had to be pissed about something, it should have been me. Because I defeated a legend's son. And here I am, putting over this guy who I've never even seen before just because he has the name Skolin. You know, that was, in my opinion, that was not a cool thing to do, but you know what? That's why I made a good paycheck, because I didn't bitch and complain. Simple as that.
Ron, I don't even remember him. Was he related to Arnold Skolin, or?
Yeah, that was Arnold's son.
My God, I don't even remember.
Yeah, Arnold's son. First time I ever seen him, and that was the last time I ever seen him, because I was booked all the time.
Right.
Never seen him after that.
Ron, you have road agents and people running the card. After your match with Sammartino, did you get any heat in the locker room?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was just like another day. The only time I can remember one thing is sitting in Poughkeepsie, getting ready to do TV, and Vince Jr. walks past me and gives me a big nod, like, good job.
Ron, did you witness any officials in the back after the match possibly having some words with David? What the fuck did you do out there?
As far as I know, He didn't even shower. He packed up. I thought I had heard that he may have injured a rib, and he apparently had left the building. I didn't even see him after that. Of course, I didn't see him in the beginning that I can recall.
Is it true that Hulk Hogan came to you before the match and said something's going on, but I don't know what it is?
Well, I've said that, and it was Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now,
Okay.
I am going to say this. There was somebody out there who said, "Well, how could have Ron Shaw talked to Hulk Hogan that night because Hulk Hogan was in another town?" You have to keep in mind that this is 1985. But I was 99% sure that Hogan did come back and 100% sure that Heenan came back and gave me a warning that something was going to happen. Something was going to go down tonight. Nobody was specific. And so that's one of the things that stuck in the back of my head when I stepped into that ring.
Your thoughts, okay, because you don't know. Do you think David Sammartino would have been better off not using the Sammartino name?
No, I don't think so. That was right in what he stayed with that name. I mean, if you're talking about the very beginning, maybe that could have been an option. But certainly when you've got the Sammartino name, that is the Rolls Royce of cars. It's as simple as that.
Yep,
I would not have changed my name.
Interesting. Ron, I want to switch gears just a little bit. And I hate even using this term with you because I find it to be not accurate, but of the enhancement talent during your time period, who would you say are the top 5 during your time period of enhancement talent?
Excluding myself.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well, I'd like you to add yourself, Ron, to be honest with you.
Obviously, in my book, you're in there, but okay, put yourself in there. Give us the top 5 from your day.
Well, certainly at my time when I started, Johnny Rods.
Yep.
No question about Johnny Rods.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit down the road, well, you had Jose Luis Rivera.
Okay.
Barry, I think it's Barry Hart, was it?
Barry Horowitz.
And another gentleman, he ended up being on top of it, but Salvatore Bellomo. He was a great worker.
Bellomo. Any thoughts on Frankie Williams, who I absolutely adore?
No, not Frankie Williams. I kind of put him in a class of Fred Marzinos and Jeff Dutch Rhodes. I don't know if you ever heard of that guy, Jeff Dutch Rhodes.
Oh man!
He took a heart punch on TV from Stand the Man Stasiak and sold it 10 seconds later.
Great. Wow, that's great.
Ron, do you think you hurt your career by not following Vince McMahon Sr.'s directions? And that your career could have turned a completely different way? To be honest with you, you definitely had the size. When you wore the Executioner mask, you definitely had, in my opinion, it. You can remember the day when we were in junior high. I used to love the Executioner.
Absolutely.
Do you think you hurt yourself with your mindset and not following Vince McMahon Sr.?
I always thought about that. Even over the last couple of years, that since I've been, 4, 5, 7 years actually, since I've been doing these podcasts, because people have asked me similar questions, not exactly, as thorough as you're asking me this. But I had assumed, them making me the Executioner right away in 1981, after being in the business for 3 years, obviously I was green. And in 1981, I made a lot of money. If I told you what it was, you'd say, well, that wasn't much money compared to what it is today. But we're talking about 1981.
Sure.
Okay? And it was almost 6 figures. Wow. So, because they were using me all the time. Yep. Booking me everywhere. There's all the big house shows. In Madison Square Garden, I worked 6 times in 1981. But, I had to understand one thing, is that I knew I was going to be going to Mike LaBelle to work. I had to consider, I being green, I had to take get some opinions from people, which I did, and they were all negative. And I said, well, I'm not going to make that type of money that I'm making here. I said, well, why should I go? And, well, of course, the end of the story is they let me go. And I understand now that, they were going to enhance me and probably, which is what they've done with a lot of the other guys, the other talent. And but do I regret it? Not really. I guess I would like to have found out what happened if I had a crystal ball, But I worked for 20 years. I still wrestled for 20 years. I always made sure I made a lot of money when I could, because if I didn't, I would have quit. I would have quit the business. But as long as I was making that certain amount that I needed to make, I continued on. So I did 20 years.
Ron, some of the fans are worried about you out there. Matthew Holland saying, "Why are you so red?"
Red Lobster.
Yeah,
oh boy,
Matt, let me answer Matthew. I live in Florida. It's called the Sunshine State,
not the sun.
And I love being out in the sun. I love being out in the sun. Man, I'm not burned really. I got a great tan. I'm not red, so I don't know what it looks like, what he sees. But believe me, I'm tan, brother. I'm tan. Matter of fact, I will even be at the pool tomorrow to enhance my tan a little bit more.
Tan enhancement.
Tan enhancement.
Very
Not
interesting.
bad.
Okay.
Enhancement talent, tan enhancement.
There you go. He's all over it.
It's
you look
combined.
like you look like you got shish kebab from here, Ron. It looks.
It may look that way, but believe me, I'm
painful.
feeling good. And you know something? I look great in the tan. There's no question about it. I told that man, you got a great tan.
He looks great.
I went to a fair the other day, a car show. It was a combination. And these young girls said, boy, he got great tan legs. Great tan legs. Hey, I never get tired of hearing that.
Ron,
I got a beautiful wife. She's 43 years old. Okay?
43?
What? I was going to ask
40.
if the girls put you over, but apparently your wife's putting you over. Never mind.
Well, let me tell you something. Wow. But she still gets a little jealous. You know why? Because I buy her the things she wants. And she doesn't want me to buy those other women anything, and I'm not going to.
Ron, how on earth did you pull this off? She's 43. What did you? Hey, baby.
Well, I met her at a very, very young age, and I'm not going to say what age that is.
Wow.
Was she in kindergarten?
Stop it. Now he's going to get mad at you all over again. Stop it. He's just kidding, Ron.
No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
Okay. There we go.
Dark Side of the Ring starts, right? I think it's season 4, right?
Right.
There's an episode of a gentleman by the name of Adrian Adonis, who, by the way, Ron, due to his daughter being on our show, Dark Side of the Ring contacted her.
Angie.
And they came up with this episode.
Yeah. Not bad.
I've always been a huge fan of Adrian Adonis. Your thoughts on Adrian Adonis, the human being, and then maybe the wrestler, from what you know?
Well, I would certainly go out with Adrian Adonis and Dirty Dick Murdoch. We would go out to the bars, especially when we were up in the touring Canada and so forth. Because those guys love to go into the bars, the VFWs, whatever they are, and drink warm beer, come outside with a buzz, and then when the Indians would attack us with knives and sticks, they love to beat the crap out of them. So they'd only give me a heads up. Hey, Ron, they're going to be waiting for us out there because they know the wrestlers are in town. And these Indians up there, they love to start trouble and everything. So, but Adrian Adonis, the guy, you didn't take no bullshit from that guy. I mean, he was a tough guy that I can remember, and but also a hell of a nice guy. He had gotten my number, and later on in my career, he was going to bring me up to I forget where, up Montreal area, beyond Montreal actually, and work for the Bearman, and it was going to be for the summer tour. And the tragic story was that they were in an accident, and they got killed, the Bearman and him. And I got a call from Tunney's office, and said, "No, you won't be coming up. Those guys passed away." And that was actually pretty much the promotion pretty much ended. But also, Adrian was a hell of a talent. I mean, when he had that weight, I mean, that guy could fly all over that ring, outside the ring, and it never hurt him one bit.
Let me ask you, as a wrestler, right, you build these relationships. Like you just said, you had some sort of relationship with Adonis. When he has this fight with Dan Spivey, and Dan Spivey beats the living crap out of him, do you feel like you want to defend Adrian, or are you like, this isn't my deal? Well,
certainly there had to be something that that clicked there that went crazy, and I don't know what it was. You know, did somebody say something the wrong way and took it the wrong way, or is somebody acting like they are tough shit? Or I don't know. You know, first of all, I wasn't around that time when that happened. All I can remember is sitting in Allentown and seeing this guy, big heavy set guy, come through the curtain, and I thought it was a Japanese guy. But it was Adrian, whose face was so swollen, his eyes were shut. And I said, oh, my God. I said, I can't believe that was him. And, you know, Spivey's sitting down the other end, and Adonis still comes in there and says, I'll get you, you bastard. You know, he may have gotten the shit kicked out of him, but he wasn't going to back down from anybody, it seemed like to me. But, you know, those guys were just kept apart most of the time anyway.
Did you ever find yourself in that type of situation where it had to get real?
Yes. Early in the 90s, this was almost like a riot. I was in the Philippines, and we were getting so much heat on a guy. I can't remember who it was. We busted him open. His partner went back to the dressing room, and we were just getting so much heat and everything. And next thing you know, these Filipinos start running to the ring. And they're starting to throw chairs and everything like that. And I said, we got to get the hell out of here for our own safety. So in the meantime, you know, we're swinging, going back and everything. And I can remember my hand getting hit by a chair. And it was swelled up for about a week for the rest of that tour. But there was another incident that happened when I was in the IWF, okay, down in Pennsylvania. The IWF part where Dominic DiNucci is the one who started that, okay, that federation down there. And we just merged with Killer Kowalski from New England. And we were doing a show in Virginia, and I was working with a big football player. The guy was solid as a rock. I don't know who trained him or anything, but we were in the ring. And he's not selling. He's not doing anything that you know, in the business, there's three terms: register, selling, and buy. Well, this guy wouldn't even register. Okay, and he's making me look foolish. So what I had to do is, after warning him 2 or 3 times, I had got him in a reverse armbar, drove him down to the mat, and I started bending his arm backwards. In other words, hyperextending it. And I can remember hearing something, you know, could have been a crack. I don't remember, but I damaged that guy's arm pretty bad. I mean, there was nothing said anymore. I mean, he was kind of pissed off on me back in the dressing room, and that was pretty much the extent of my issues, because, you know, I got along with everybody. You know, I got along with everybody, and I made sure I got along with everybody, because, you know, you never know who you're going to need a ride with and to get to the next town. But then after a while, we were starting to fly everywhere. So those are my 2 experiences.
Well, the guy asked for it. I can see why you did that. I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn. This is a strange question, but why not? Pedro Morales at one point claimed that he was at a restaurant in New York City and his title was stolen out of his car. Years later, Morales' title was discovered at a pawn shop in Pennsylvania, you know, from what has been said. And one of his longtime friends, Pedro's friends, Pete Sanchez, accused Pedro of lying. Sanchez said that Morales was the one who pawned his own championship. Do you know anything about this?
I know nothing about that, and I can't believe that for one instant. Okay. Pedro Morales, and we used to call him Pete back in the dressing room, Pete was one of the nicest guys. Okay, the guy was making a lot of money. I mean, why would you want to pawn that? And what the hell are you going to get for it from a pawn shop to begin with? Okay. Why not put it on the, well, you know, I don't know if they had the internet. I guess they did at the time, but if you know what I mean, today they put things on the internet for sale and it goes to the highest bidder. To a pawn shop, you know, what are you going to get at a pawn shop? I don't believe that story at all.
Is Pedro becoming, as history, as the sands of time continue to, go by, is Pedro becoming a little bit forgotten? Because I find that Bruno, of course, is always talked about in the 70s, and superstar Billy Graham. But after all, it was Pedro who held a 2-year bridge when Bruno's stepped away. Do you think Bruno's legacy or superstar Graham's sexiness as far as his memory has somewhat diminished Pedro's memory?
No, I can't believe that. You know, if you're talking about those great stars of yesterday,
yeah.
You know, how much talk is really going on? I mean, because the business is what it is today. And if you're going back to look at Pedro versus Bruno, of course, Bruno was the world champion for the longest time in I guess, professional wrestling history. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
It's more of an observance because Bruno is always talked about, as he should be. And Superstar Graham, obviously, was the predecessor of a Hulk Hogan flamboyant type, if you will. And I feel like Pedro's almost become like the Deep Purple to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath.
Well, you know, maybe it's just a subject where Pedro's not really there to be talked about. The conversation is strict. I know where you're going and so forth. And believe me, I love Pedro Morales.
Ron, the real question is, do you even know who Deep Purple or Black Sabbath is?
How did I know you were going to do that? Of course he knows. Smoke on the water. Would you stop it?
I love the rock of the 60s. I love the rock of the 70s.
What the hell, bro?
And I watch music all the time. I play guitar, so I watch music all the time.
Culture Club of the
I watch music all the time, too, but I can never see it because I listen to it, but that's just me.
Well, there you go.
We grew up during the MTV era. We did nothing but see it. What are you talking about?
I actually like this one group from the 80s, Aha.
Yes.
Yeah, you heard it, right?
Take
Absolutely.
on me.
There you go. There you go.
Love it, dude. Good job.
Ron, can you hit the high note for us in that song?
No, I can't. No, I can't.
So, I don't know if I can either. Okay, fair enough. There it is. I hit it.
All right, don't lose it there, Pharaoh.
I kind of already have. Go ahead.
That was not bad.
I didn't think it was. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go with, can you share some stories, please, because you were there during the heyday of the Unholy Trinity. It's funny, Sabbath, Zeppelin, and Purple were known as the Unholy Trinity.
Yeah,
but how about
absolutely,
the Unholy Trinity of managers?
Yeah.
Please give us some stories about Grand Wizard, Lou Albano, and classy Freddie Blassie, please.
Well, you know, all three guys were really nice guys, and Blassie and Albano, they always liked to joke around, kid around as much as they could, and the Wizard was pretty much just straight nice guy, help you out, give me advice, and you know, he gave other guys advice, but he always give me advice. The other two guys didn't, so you know, they were their own characters in their own way. But I remember one time when I was coming back from my broken leg, I finally had part of the cast cut off because it was all the way up to my thigh, and I had it finally below my knee, and I decided to drive up to Allentown or doing the taping just to show my face because I needed to do that because the WWF Vince was sending me a check every week. You know, when I broke my leg up there in Saskatoon, it took me about 3 days to get the heck back, and Monsoon, I'm sure he let them know that what happened. I broke my leg, and they were sending me a check every week, you know, and it was a nice check, and I never expected that. So I decided to take a ride up there one day, and Fred Blassie and Albano goes, "Hey, there's Ron Shaw, Kowalski's kid," and they came over there, and they're putting their arms around me and welcoming me back, and you know, of course, kidding around a little bit because I still had the damn crutches, and I couldn't wait to get rid of them. But you know, I never traveled with any of those guys, but you know, every opportunity that I tried to talk to them when they weren't busy, and the best time to do that was mainly like in Hamburg, because the field house dressing rooms were so damn small. And, you know, even though they were just bench seats back in there, when you came into there, you even if you were the first guy in there, you just made sure you didn't sit in Fred Blassie's seat or Lou Albano's seat. Okay. And one time I decided to come in there a little earlier. I wanted to watch the interviews get done. And I went in there and I said, you know what, I'm going to sit in Albano's seat. Or it was Blassie's. I don't remember which one it was. Oh, he came in and looked at me because I had all my gear right there on the floor. The locker behind me, stuff was filled up with my jackets and so forth. And boy, did Albano lay hell on me. Of course, he was only kidding. He goes, "Shaw, get the hell out of here." He goes, "This is my place. You got no place. Go in the shower over there. Go get a seat over there." But those guys were easy to talk to. They were fun guys, really nice guys.
So, Ron, the one thing through all our disagreements is you and I have always been pretty politically aligned. But I know you've had some problems with New York recently, but I want you to watch your monitor, as in the great state of Florida where you come from. There's been a problem, and most recently, we'll let this video play, but there's a 15-year-old right there pounding a 9-year-old while the bus driver and the adults do absolutely nothing about this. Now, this is a 15-year-old boy pounding on a 9-year-old girl.
What the hell?
The school did absolutely nothing about it. The bus attendants did nothing about it. And as bad as New York could be, it does seem like the state of Florida seems to have these kind of crazy issues a little bit more. You want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I remember seeing that story, and there have been other situations like that. And you know, the people that, you know, the thing is today is that if you have a bus monitor or you got the bus driver and they're going to start getting involved in it, now who knows? Is it a frail old man, a frail old lady? Because these are the type of people who take this part-time job for extra money. They're frail people. They're not here to break up a fight, you know, especially a 15-year-old kid probably going crazy. And they don't want to step in because they don't want any lawsuits from the parents against them. And yeah, look, that happens everywhere. But the difference being is that we don't have any political nonsense that's going on down here. Our state is run by a fantastic governor, and looks like the man is going to probably be announcing that he's going to be running for president. We're talking about Governor DeSantis. Now, that's the opposite of New York.
Well, that's my point to you, Ron, right? So DeSantis is going to run for president. Meanwhile, under his watch, again, he can't control everything, and I get it, and it's kind of an unfair comment, but under his watch, this kind of shit is going on.
Well, yeah, and if you're referring to the bus incident,
sure.
I mean, what can he do about it? I mean, what can you do about your kid?
Condemn it publicly?
It's the parents. It's the parents who need to teach this kid how to act.
True.
Okay, and not beat up on a girl.
True.
I mean, you know, what's DeSantis got to do with it? He's nothing. You know, he can't do nothing about it. You know, and look. Here's the thing. He is not abandoning our state if he runs for president, because he signed a bill that he will still be governor while he's running for president. Okay, number one. The man is a very smart man. Very smart man.
Do you think the Republican Party will concentrate on his candidacy, or is Donald Trump going to?
Well, can I add on that?
Yeah.
Being that we're both Republicans, Ron, do you think that DeSantis is actually hurting the Republican Party by announcing a presidency when we all know that Donald Trump is going to also run?
Well, here's my whole theory on this, is that, number one, Donald Trump, who I still call President Trump because he's still the true president, okay. As far as I'm concerned. Okay. He's going to run. Now, he's going to have one term that he can only do. Okay. Now, I don't know how much that he can fix in this country, except I know how he's going to get the economy going is drill, baby, drill. But what he's going to have to clean up is the mess of the border. And today is a dark day in our history. Number one is because Title 42 is ending, and it may have just ended now, because it is ending sometime this evening. And they're expecting hundreds of thousands of people to just rush right in, and there's not enough people down there to block them. But getting back out to Trump is that, look, I will vote for President Trump, okay? That's number one. He's going to have one term. He's going to do what he can to fix this country to get it back the way it was. Then I would like to see DeSantis run after that, and then finally continue on, and hopefully he would get 2 terms. That's the way I look at it. But Donald Trump has proven that he's a businessman. He can do the job, and we all know that. And I'm going to tell you something. Everything that is going wrong in this country right now, there's those people out there who would still blame it on Donald Trump. I've got a cousin and her son who would blame this all on Donald and Trump, but they're as dumb as mud anyway. Stupid. Okay? Yeah, I know. You call your cousin stupid and that, but I call him as I see him. All right. And that's pretty much it. The man has to get back in, and all this bullshit of lawsuits against him. Oh, that's all just a Democratic game going on. And how can you as a Democrat look to see how your country is going? What are you going to get out of it? Your children, your future children. Because let me tell you something. Fortunately, we stopped this country from becoming a third world country when we had the new Speaker of the House. Okay, when we retired the mental patient Pelosi, that was the best thing that happened. Okay, so we still got Chucky Schmoomer, whatever his name, Schmucky is it? Whatever his name is. This guy retired. But these people want to destroy this country. This country has been ripped to shreds while we're sitting here, and it's still happening. And we got another year and a half of these criminals in the White House. And I'm talking about Biden himself, his wife, his son, the crack addict. And it goes on down the line. And if you've seen James Comer the other day bring this all out up front, they're as guilty as could be. They're as guilty as to be, and they need to be taken out of office right away.
Ron, if I can, it's not just the country. What about the world? I mean, Putin wouldn't have pulled this crap. He waltzed into the Ukraine. You got North Korea deciding it's okay now to shoot missiles over the Japan. I didn't see this shit happening before this. Any thoughts on the whole world is being affected by this?
Yeah, well, it's being affected by one man. They see a guy who's asleep at the wheel, an empty suit, a guy who's got a mental problem on top of it yet. And now they say, well, now we can step all over the U.S., okay? And that's why China is going to become the U.S., okay? What they're going to do is end this war between Russia and the Ukraine. And while we're buying everything that we can, batteries and everything from China because of Biden's shady dealings, we're just going to be looked upon, if we don't turn this thing around, we're just going to be looked upon as a third world country. But it's got to be turned around now. It's got to be turned around now.
What would you say to those who would say to you that you have no right to this opinion and your thoughts are dangerous? Do you have a right to your opinion as an American or no?
I absolutely do. Absolutely do. And let's add the DOJ and the FBI leader. It's all good people working for them, but it's those guys who are running those two departments that also need to be put in jail.
Ron, I don't know if you have any children. I'm not asking you that. But if your principal called from that school and you found out and you saw this video of your son beating up a 9-year-old female, what would Ron Shaw do to his son?
Well, number one, I would have to find out what is his issue. Why would he do something? And, not only to maybe a younger boy at that age, but yet a girl, and find out what his issue. What were his issues before that? See, I don't know, but let's just say it's the first time this had anything to happen. I'd have to sit down with him, maybe get him a little help to a point. See if this happens again, because you can't put your finger on your kids anymore.
Right.
There's too many eyes out there.
Right.
Right. Yep. You do something to your kid goes to complain at school. Well, the next thing you know, the cops are knocking at your door. My daddy beat me up.
Right.
This is why these kids are running rampant. They're doing what they want to do. And I'm not talking about all the kids. There's a lot of great kids that are raised by decent mother and fathers. And but then again, there's those others.
Davio out there says all wrestling fans should write in Jesse Ventura for president. Would you support Jesse Ventura as your president?
Let me tell you something. I like Jesse Ventura. I've talked to him many a time, and he's gotten a bad rap on a lot of radio stations that I used to hear. The guy is a former Marine. What the heck is he? I mean, one of the highest ranking
Navy SEAL.
Yes, Navy SEAL. I'm sorry, Navy SEAL. A great man. And do I think he should run? I don't think so. Because look, Donald Trump is there, and let me tell you something. Donald Trump was even on CNN in a town hall meeting. I think it was last night and so forth, and the people really liked what he heard. You know, they weren't disrespecting him or nothing. Maybe a couple of the commentators were a little bit, you know, sassy or so forth. But, you know, it was good to see that, him come on CNN showing that, hey, I've got the balls. You know, I'll come here. I'll talk with you.
Yep.
Can I give you another option for presidency? Agent Eric Sims. Would you vote for Eric Sims to become the next president of the United States?
Well, okay. I don't exactly know this man. He has
Look at that
told
presidential pin. Look at it.
Yeah. I see it. Can you take it off real quick?
Yeah, Spidey, do our guest a favor. His eyes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
he called me up at home.
Take it off real
Absolutely. He was going to have to go for laser surgery
I haven't
tomorrow.
had nightmares for a
Please.
while. That's why I haven't had nightmares in a while. I don't want to. The man has called me. The man has called me to come up and do some conventions. I kind of turned him down. I'm that type of guy that doesn't necessarily like to do that stuff, but I was going to do one on a couple of weeks ago or last week, wherever it was in New Jersey. But as I say, you know, because of New York, I didn't want to step in that city, that cesspool, and I've said it before on the other shows. I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Well, Ron, so there's three people that have a lot of weight in my life. My wife, my daughter, and Jimmy Pharaoh.
How the heck?
Right? The three of them have a lot of weight.
Wow. Thank you. I'm honored.
So after this long year or so, I've had a lot of evaluation. A lot of people have weighed in. And I want to take the time out to say, sir, I should have been a better man that day. And I apologize to you. I could see the type of man you are. You came into hostile territory today. Even though you were paid, you came into hostile territory. And you answered every question like a champ. In Monte and Pharaoh's opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of wrestling fans' opinion, you are an icon. I just said to Jimmy the other day that when we think back of wrestling, we always remember the name of Ron Shaw. We grew up on you. So I'll take this time out to say to you, sir, I do apologize, and I thank you for everything you've done for this industry and its fans. Thank you, Ron Shaw.
Wow. Well, Monte, I have to say, I did not expect this. There's no question about it, because I know we were getting late into the show, and I did not expect this. And Pharaoh, thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless
welcome.
God bless your wife and your children, and I hope that they have a great life, a healthy life. And I know you, as a father, they certainly will. And I have to say that I did not think this was going to happen tonight. But I knew who I was dealing with. You guys are number one for a reason, and I have to say, this is probably not because of me. This was probably one of your classiest shows that you ever had, because it's the way you conducted yourselves tonight. And I was happy to answer every darn question that you had. So thank you, and I appreciate that. And you know something? I said something about your fans. And I know you guys, you love your fans. They mean everything to you. They're like family to you. And I said some nasty, nasty things to them. So what I want to do is apologize to all your listeners, and especially several that I mentioned in a really, really horrible way. And I hope that they will forgive me. And if they don't, well, I'm tough. I'm pretty tough. I can take a lot, okay? Insults no matter, because to be a professional wrestler, you have to learn to take the insults along with the injuries, and they happen. They happen. So I apologize to those listeners.
Well, thank you, Ron Shaw. We hope to catch you on the way, and thank you for everything again, sir.
Remember this, guys. I mean, you're welcome, but I was a little guy in this business, but a lot of interesting things happened along the way that put me on the map, and being in the WWE Hall of Fame, which was huge. And that reminds me of one thing, okay? You guys did a show about a month ago, and you were talking about who possibly would be a good member in the Hall of Fame. And Monte, you brought up my name to the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh says, He thought about it a little bit too long, in my opinion. And he said, well, Johnny Rodz is in there. Well, Johnny Rodz deserves to be in there. Okay, there's no question about it, Johnny Rodz. But Johnny Rodz never had the most upsets in professional wrestling, the biggest upsets in professional wrestling, and who was just recently named the Earl of Upsets by Dan and Benny. Okay, now I didn't get a big head by that, but let me tell you something. I think that's a pretty neat title. Okay, pretty cool title as far as I'm concerned. And it was something I said. Jimmy, let me show you something, you guys, real quick here.
Sure.
This Hall of Fame plaque that I received last year for the IWF is something that I'm very, very proud of. Okay, I traveled all over the world. My first trip with the IWF was in the Philippines. We merged with Dominic DeNucci, who created the Pennsylvania IWF, and we merged with Killer Kowalski. There's a whole story of that, because let me tell you something. Dominic and Bruno maybe have been forgotten about the IWF, but I hope that people go to my website, to the IWF Hall of Fame Pennsylvania tapings. Not Hall of Fame, but the Pennsylvania tapings. I call it the lost tapes. And there's a huge article there that was written by somebody. And if they read that, they'll know how the IWF in Pennsylvania actually started. And it is very, very interesting. But as far as the WWE is concerned, I couldn't care less if I was inducted or not inducted ever in the WWE Hall of Fame. I am in their history books of professional wrestling, both of them. You can never change history, but they could take you out of the Hall of Fame, which I can remember that they have done to people. So that's not interesting to me. That's not interesting to me. But you know what? I forgive you, Pharaoh. Both of you guys are class acts. No matter how many times you say about that fucking wine. Okay? that is great wine, and I wanted to tell you something.
It is. Yeah.
When they wire transferred that money to come here tonight, they sent me a bottle of that wine. Sweet. And I like drinking 1946 Sauvignon. But this was good fucking wine. I got to say that.
It was.
Well, Ron, if you would have waited a week, we're about to announce another sponsor, and you might have really liked what's coming that way. But
for sure.
You know what? We'll send you something anyway.
Yeah.
Ron Shaw, our honor. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, guys. I love you.
I love you too, Ron. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Ron Shaw.
Woo!
Thoughts?
Well, at least he's not too mad at me for the Hall of Fame observations.
Oh,
I was only saying it because I was emotional
listen,
during
I
it.
think he's got
we were in the heat of the battle.
I think he's got to understand that you have your opinion. I don't think that's an insult.
We were in the heat of the battle at the moment. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? Yeah, I think he should be in. But, it was in the heat
Listen,
of the
I know a
moment.
lot of the younger fans might not know who Ron Shaw is, which he is one of.
He was awesome. I loved him.
At least for us, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Everybody knew who Ron Shaw was.
And to be
dude.
honest, I mean, we always had respect for Johnny Rodz, and Ron Shaw was on that
absolutely.
level. It wasn't like Fred Moss.
For you to at least go to your first wrestling show.
Awesome.
And it's great. A lot of people we are friends with on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen their faces and everything
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
But a mess. We haven't got to see his face,
Right, now
and
we
it was
get
good
to
to
see.
see the picture, right?
Very
So
cool.
I think
Thanks
that's
for the pic,
really
man.
cool.
Thanks for the pic.
RJ, I hope you have forgiveness in your heart for Ron.
RJ,
I think
rock.
it was a heat of the moment.
I'm sure RJ will find room for forgiveness. I
Yeah,
hope so. I hope so.
absolutely.
I hope so.
Anyway, it's always our honor and privilege that you guys join us every Thursday. I think we have a show next week.
Okay.
And then Spidey, you're away, right? You're going away for a wedding, right? Graduation. So Abe will
Very
be
nice.
filling in where we have
Abe.
Al
Washington?
No.
Weird. You
No.
said Abe.
Not the producer, the wrestlers.
The
that
wrestlers.
we have
who are we having
in studio?
I forgot. Isn't that your job?
Holy cow!
Who
Can you
is
help
it?
me, producer?
Who's coming up?
The
hot chick. You've heard of her, folks.
Hold
the
on.
hot chick.
Hold on, dude, because a hot chick
That's
just
Big
doesn't
Brother.
cut it. It would be
Isn't
nice.
that Big
No,
Brother?
no, Big
Oh, that's a
Brother.
different hot
I haven't
chick.
even announced the Big Brother, the hot Big Brother chick
Okay.
yet.
Look at this. He's running to the schedule. This is.
You know, producer man, you got to help me sometimes. We've got pro wrestling legend who Monte the Pharaoh can't remember. Jack Victory will be
Jack
in
Victory's
studio.
our boy.
He is.
I love Jack
I'm
Victory.
so glad that we can remember
I'm
his
happy.
name.
I'm happy.
Congratulations.
I don't remember it.
But more importantly, and we just want to get past the Jack Victory interview
because
we've got Mila Moore, former NXT star. And
my
Pharaoh, do you
God.
think we should just sit there for an hour and not ask any questions?
You better get a spill bucket underneath me when she walks in. Holy moly! Wow, she's hot.
A spill bucket?
Yeah, just like. Oh. What? What? I'm intense. I can't control my shit sometimes. It is what it is. But I was a massive adult star back in the 40s.
I understand.
You know,
I
you
understand.
should have seen me back in the 40s.
But you
I was
got
ahead of my
enough. You
time.
got enough man juice to fill a bucket.
To just get the barrel, bring the barrel over. You might as well.
You know, I
talk about milking the cow.
Oh my God.
But,
anyway, we love you
yeah.
guys. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We will see you next Thursday. Jared will still be at the desk because he's not leaving, and I think
Right.
it's just a regular show. I
Right.
don't know what the subject's going to be.
Okay.
And then that following, it's 21st, I think, is a Sunday.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And I would just like to, before we go off the air,
Go ahead.
I want to make a special proclamation. Spidey, get ready, okay? I would just like to say on behalf of Woody Johnson
Jeez.
and Aaron Rodgers,
No.
I would like to proclaim the obvious this year. The Jets are going to win the